Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Frama Panyi. My sign language interpreter is Taiwo Ozoma. First, the headlines. President Tinubu signs 2025 tax bills into law. As the world turns attention to the fight against drug abuse, Nigeria's First Lady calls on leaders and parents to recommit in protecting youth from drug abuse. Plus, heads of state and government of 27 countries of the European Union meet in Brussels. Situation in Ukraine and the Middle East top on the agenda. Now, the news in full. The much talked about tax reforms bill has been signed into law, harmonizing the entire tax systems in the country. President Bola Tinubu signed the 2025 tax bill this Thursday in the State House.
We are in transit. We have changed the rule. We have changed some of the misgivings. We have opened the door for new economy, business opportunity. We are showing that Nigeria is truly, truly ready and open for business. Easy in, easy out.
Here again, we have harmonized the entire tax system in this country. Stamp Duties Act, I think it was in 1901, but last reviewed in 1939. And here we are, year 2025. We're still operating on even taxes and laws on taxation that were here before the colonial masters left. They were all incorporated into our laws. And you said this cannot be allowed to continue. Nigeria must be modernized. And modernizing the tax system means bringing more money for the development of the country.
In a few months, Nigeria will continue to commend you for your courage, dedication.
Meanwhile, our State House correspondent Musbawit and Wahab had an interaction with the chairman, Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, Taiwo Oyedele, on what the new law is coming to achieve.
Following the signing of a very important bill, that's a tax bill, which Mr. President just signed, we have the chairman of a presidential committee on fiscal policy and tax reforms, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, with us. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
May I say congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Congratulations to all Nigerians.
How do you feel? I mean, it was looking somehow very, very difficult initially, and here we are today.
Yeah, I think it was Nelson Mandela that said it always seems impossible until it's done. But like we said, as Mr. President was signing, I think this was made possible because of Mr. President's leadership. We always talk about political will. This is the actual demonstration of political will, because the difference between it is when things are hard. And I think it's also important to commend the National Assembly, the Governors Forum, and the Nigerians in all sizes and shapes, interest group, professional bodies, organized private sector, civil society, and the ordinary Nigerian, as well as the media, for the role they have played. This is such a transformative law. Nothing like this has been done in the history of Nigeria. So this is a day of celebration for all Nigerians, but we know that the work is not done yet. This is now moving to phase 2, which is implementation, and that is where we transform these laws into concrete actions and, more importantly, impact and outcomes for the Nigerian people.
Now, the fear initially was that, these governments was coming to increase taxes for Nigerians, but it's a different perception now that we're getting from you. How do you allay the fears of ordinary Nigerians?
No, I think it's the low level of trust, which is understandable. Whenever people hear about tax reforms, they just assume that you want to tax them more. Whereas actually the focus for this reform was people-centric. It was about efficiency, it was about growth, and competitiveness. From these tax reforms, you will see in those laws that more than 1/3 of Nigerian workers, public and private sector, are now being exempted fully from personal income tax. They don't have to pay PAYE. That's more money in their pocket to take care of their daily needs. Essential consumption like food, like health, like education are now zero rated for VAT, which means the prices are expected to come down. Accommodation is exempted, so is transportation. So this is really focused on the people. Small businesses are exempted from all manners of taxes, and then there's harmonization. Even for the large companies, they'll see gradually a reduction in their tax rate. So this is a good day for Nigeria, and we should all celebrate. Whatever doubts people have, as we begin the implementation, they will see that this was actually intended for a better Nigeria, shared prosperity, and greater tomorrow.
Right. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has described the Nigerian civil service as not just the backbone of government, but the very essence of it, affirming that his administration will continue to prioritize the welfare and development of civil servants. The president made those remarks while declaring open the first International Civil Service Conference organized by the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation. Haman Jabani reports.
Civil servants are believed to play a critical role in the implementation of government policies, maintaining stability and driving the day-to-day functions of government institutions. Without a strong, professional and motivated civil service, no government policy, no matter how well designed, can be effectively executed or sustained, as their relevance remains central to the success and continuity of governance across all sectors. It is in recognition of this vital role that President Bola Tinubu acknowledged civil servants as essential to the nation's progress. His commendation signaled a renewed appreciation for the public service as a cornerstone of national development and a call to further strengthen the system through reforms and investment in human capital. Commending the ongoing transformation within the civil service, President Tinubu praised the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, DDS Walton Jack, for her visionary leadership and commitment to repositioning the service for greater productivity, accountability, and innovation. He recognized the effort under her leadership, particularly the implementation of key reforms initiatives, which align with the Federal Civil Service Strategic and Implementation Plan, FCIP 25.
And your leadership and stakeholders, your roles remain crucial and integral in modernizing and fortifying the civil service for generations yet unborn. Your vision aligns with our Renew Hope agenda, a comprehensive roadmap for building a secure, inclusive, and prosperous Nigeria. At the heart of this agenda is a public service that works efficiently and effectively for every Nigerian.
The president also challenged all public servants to embrace a new narrative for governance, one that reflects transparency, innovation, and public trust.
I charge all public service leaders and stakeholders to return to their institutions with renewed determination to infuse our system with energy and purpose, embrace innovation as a duty, and accelerate implementation of policy and services that improve the lives of all Nigerians. The time to act is now.
President Tinubu reiterated that Nigeria's journey to prosperity and effective governance depends largely on the strength, integrity, and capability of its civil servants. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, DDS Walton Jack, says measurable progress in human capital development, service-wide digitization, and performance management have been achieved as a number of initiatives that will transform the Public Service Institute of Nigeria into a global center of public service excellence will be pursued.
So we are looking towards partnering with as many as are ready to add value to the reforms that are ongoing, as many that are ready to add value to the work that we do as civil servants, because indeed it is a great assignment to deliver on the national development goals.
The conference is having 5,000 participants from Europe, America, and Africa. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
Our President Bola Tinubu has declined to sign the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA Amendment Bill 2025 into law. The President's letter refusing assent to the legislation was read on the floor of the House of Representatives by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas at Thursday's plenary. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikpen reports.
President Bola Tinubu in his letter explained that the NDLEA Amendment Bill seeks to empower the agency to retain a portion of proceeds from drug-related crimes. This move, the President notes, contradicts existing financial regulations.
Currently, all proceeds of crime must be paid into the confiscated and forfeited properties account. In addition to this, payments to the relevant organization responsible for recoveries can only be made by the President, subject to the approval of the Federal Executive Council and the National Assembly. There is no compelling reason to change the current process, which promotes transparency as it involves executive and legislative oversight.
Sequel to motions of urgent public importance, the House passed resolutions calling on the Ecological Fund Office to address the menace of flooding and gully erosion in Kano and Imo states, as well as the need to light up some communities in Anambra State.
Approximately 3.8 million Kano residents across 362 communities are potentially at high risk of flooding. The Ecological Fund Office activities have been minimal over the past 2 years, raising concerns about the primary mandate of mitigating ecological issues nationwide.
Urge the federal government to declare either the federal constituency an erosion disaster zone and take drastic steps to curtail gully erosion in the communities.
Urge the Federal Ministry of Power and Rural Electrification Agency to include Umumbo, Omasi, Umerum, and Omo communities in their immediate rural electrification project in the 2026 budget estimates.
20 bills were introduced at first reading. They include the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal Act Amendment Bill 2025, as well as the Minerals and Mining Act Amendment Bill 2025. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Agencies in the fight against illicit drugs in Nigeria are facing strong resistance from the drug barons, and the trade is in the increase. This is getting more worrisome as the youth population is said to be the most affected. As Nigeria commemorates International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim takes us through the journey so far.
It is closing hour in this public school at the heart of the Federal Capital Territory. Young boys and girls excited to explore other fun activities. Amid this lurks a silent epidemic. From codeine-laced cough syrups to cannabis and methamphetamine, illicit drug use has surged alarmingly, particularly among the youths.
That's why it's cheaper, really cheaper for all of us to join forces and see that we save our young people from getting involved in it ab initio.
Every day, especially at air and seaports, thousands of illicit substances are being intercepted. According to NDLEA, more than 66,000 drug traffickers were arrested, with 11.1 million kilograms drugs seized. 12,201 drug traffickers were convicted, and 26,393 drug addicts were rehabilitated, all in the last 52 months.
It is vital to stress that the responsibility of shielding our citizens from harmful substances does not rest solely on the shoulders of NDLEA. It is a collective duty, one that demands the involvement of all, including the general public.
Beyond this enforcement, prevention, many believe, is crucial, just as others, like Sydney, argue for legalizing cultivation of cannabis for revenue.
And these things, if you agree with me, they are used in the industry for drug production, medicine. They are used for food preservation, that create employment for our youths, generate millions of dollars as revenue for country.
Drug no be cruise, e no be show of levels, na slow poison, na thief, in dey steal your future small small.
As Nigeria battles on multiple fronts, the theme for this year's International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, the evidence is clear. Invest in prevention could hold the key to reversing the dangerous trend. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. We'll take a short break now. We will be back with more reports. Welcome back. And still talking International Day Against Drug Abuse. Every child in Nigeria deserves to grow up in a safe and nurturing environment free from the devastating grip of drug abuse and the threats of organized crime. Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, stated this in her message marking the 2025 International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, with the theme, "The evidence is clear, invest in the prevention, break the cycle." She says the celebration with the hashtag Stop Organized Crime is a call on everyone as leaders, parents, teachers and communities to reaffirm commitment to protecting the health and future of our people, especially youth, from the menace of drug abuse. The First Lady highlights the responsibility of the society to positively engage the youth, support families and raise awareness as a way of building a healthier, safer and more resilient Nigeria. And now to speak more on the International Day Against Drug Abuse is Professor Nwoga Charles, consultant psychiatrist with the Jos University Teaching Hospital. He's joining us via Zoom. Glad to have you on the news, Prof. Prof, can you hear me?
Good evening.
Good evening, Prof, and welcome on the news. Now, let's talk about International Day Against Drug Abuse. Statistics indicate that drug abuse is on the rise daily in Nigeria. What are the underlying factors for this?
There are several underlying factors.
Okay, Prof, we seem to have a problem connecting with you and the network is bad. I don't know if you can hear me. We will get back to you when we're able to fix that. Now, Vice President Shatima has arrived at the VIP terminal of the Bole International Airport in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, on an official state visit at the invitation of the Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Dr. Abiy Ahmed Ali. He was received by the Ethiopian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Gideon Timotheus. Vice President Shatima will participate in the official launch of Ethiopia's Green Legacy Program, a flagship environmental initiative. The program, designed to combat deforestation, enhance biodiversity, and mitigate the adverse effects of climate change, targets the planting of 20 billion tree seedlings over a 4-year period. In line with strengthening bilateral ties in agriculture and industrial development, the Vice President will also embark on a strategic tour of key industrial zones and integrated agricultural facilities across selected regions of Ethiopia. Nigeria and Ethiopia share a robust history of bilateral engagement with notable collaboration in areas of military support, regional peacekeeping, and economic partnership. The wife of the Vice President of Nigeria, Nana Shatima, has described Nigeria and Brazil as culturally connected nations, united by shared values and traditions, despite the distance between them. She made the remark while receiving Maria Lucia Alckmin, the Second Lady of Brazil, who is in Nigeria on an official visit with her husband. Charles Alpha reports.
Vice President Gerardo Alckmin and members of the delegation are in Abuja for the second session of the Nigeria-Brazil Strategic Dialogue Mechanism, which aims to strengthen bilateral relations between both countries. Wife of the Brazilian Vice President Maria Lucia Alckmin, during her courtesy call on her Nigerian counterpart Nana Shatima, shared the story of her women-focused social initiative she launched in 2001 while her husband served as governor of Sao Paulo. The bread-making project, she said, has empowered over 100,000 underprivileged women across 17 Brazilian states, with plans to expand nationwide. Wife of the Nigerian Vice President Nana Shatima praised the initiative and highlighted cultural similarities between the two nations, saying that Nigeria and Brazil are both known for their warm resilience, vibrant music Afrobeats, and samba love for football and colorful festivals. She wished Mrs. Alckmin a memorable stay in Nigeria and hoped the visit would leave her with lasting impressions of Nigerians.
As usual, Brazil and Nigeria, we have so many things in common in terms of hospitality, in terms of how we love our culture. So truly, I think you're homecoming. And thank you so very much for the honor done to my country. So we are looking forward to receive you. And inshallah, by God willing, one day you will see me in Brazil.
Meanwhile, on the second day of the engagement, Nigeria-Brazilian second ladies visited Nike Art Gallery, Kauri's initiative in Abuja, where wife of the Vice President of Nigeria and her visitors embarked on a cultural tour of the Nike Art Gallery, Abuja, designed to showcase and appreciate Nigeria's rich cultural heritage in arts and crafts. The cultural tour was part of activities lined up for the visit of the second lady of the Federative Republic of Brazil, who is in Nigeria alongside her husband, Charles Alpha. NTA News.
And in Brussels, President John Dramani Mahama led calls for stronger global investment in immunization at the Gavi Vaccine Alliance Replenishment Summit. Representing Ghana's growing leadership in health financing, President Mahama outlined the country's significant strides in vaccine coverage and reaffirmed its commitment to global vaccine equity. His presence at the summit comes as Gavi seeks to mobilize $9 billion to immunize 500 million children and save millions of lives between 2026 and 2030.
And I'm proud to say that in partnership with Gavi, Ghana has achieved 97% immunization coverage. But it means that another 3% is missing. And we're working hard to find those 65,000 children who are in remote areas that are difficult to reach. And I know that working with Gavi, we will be able to find those children and also give them the life-saving vaccines. Ghana is a lower middle income country, and so our partnership with Gavi is one of co-finance. And I'm proud to say that over the recent years, we spent almost $67 million on vaccines in partnership with Gavi. One of my first decisions as president was to uncap our national health insurance. By uncapping the national health insurance, we've been able to give the insurance fund more than 3.5 billion cedis.
Heads of state and government of the 27 countries of the European Union are meeting in Brussels. Top of the agenda is the situation in Ukraine and the Middle East, as well as migration and defense issues. Francis Udojo has more.
Just as putting an end to invasion of Ukraine by Russia and ending the war tops agenda at the EU leaders meeting in Brussels, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said the situation in Gaza was catastrophic and urged the European Union to immediately suspend its cooperation deal with Israel. Speaking to reporters, Sanchez mentioned that Israel was breaching its human rights obligations, citing Israel's blockade of humanitarian aid for the Palestinian territory and the massive displacement and destruction caused by the war. Suspending the EU-Israel accord outright will require unanimity among member states, something diplomats see as virtually impossible due to divisions within the bloc. Official figures says The Gaza war began after Hamas' October 7, 2023 attack on Israel, which resulted in the deaths of 1,219 people, mostly civilians. Meanwhile, delegates in Qingdao for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO Defense Ministers meeting had in attendance representatives from all 10 member nations. The event, marking the SCO's 25th anniversary, aims to promote regional stability and cooperation. India Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, during his address, denounced support for cross-border terrorism, citing the Pahalgam attack in April as New Delhi's main focus on the fight against the issue. The defense minister said, and I quote, "It is imperative that those who sponsor, nurture, and utilize terrorism for their narrow and selfish ends must bear the consequences. Some countries use cross-border terrorism as an instrument of policy and provide shelter to terrorists." End of quote. During the meeting, Singh also refused to sign the SCO joint statement as India's concerns over cross-border terrorism were not taken into account. Tensions between India and Pakistan escalated following a deadly militant strike in India-administered Kashmir on April 22, which killed 26. India blamed Pakistan for the attack, suspending a bilateral water treaty and a key visa program. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
This is where we end the news on NTA International. I am Frama Panye, and Taiwo Zoma has been the sign language interpreter. Thanks for being a part of it.